Do you all remember that manga that was making waves in the community a few weeks back called The Hero Took Everything From Me, So I Partied with the Hero's Mother? Well, Chapter 2 has officially come out, and I want to sit down and talk about it because let's be honest, we all like isekai trash. We love really trashy manga sometimes, and let's be honest, when you take a good hard look at just what this series' overall title is, to what we got with the first chapter, and after reading the second chapter, it's legitimately one of those series that's just straight up trash, but it's so trash it's enjoyable. Like, it's fun to actually read. On top of that, you literally have a revenge story about a guy literally collecting all the mothers of all the heroes and saying, hey, I will party with them and all that, and basically becoming kind of like their stepdad or something, which is pretty freaking hilarious, just with context and without context. But, yeah, so let's take a few moments, let's talk about Chapter 2 that came out, and let's just go over what happened, how the story's progressing, you know, exactly how the writer is handling certain themes. Let's just get right into it. So, the first chapter of, you know, this series, you know, I Party with the Hero's Mother, it had a lot more fan service and definitely more of adultish content than Chapter 2, and the ending of Chapter 1 led us to believe that the MC was having a very passionate night, so to speak, with the mother of the hero, and the chapter opens up with just them hand-holding, and this has to be the biggest, cop-out, or, in its own way, a troll. Because it's like, I think everybody that finished the first chapter of this series definitely thought that, like, hey, did they just do it? But obviously they didn't dive down that rabbit hole, so to speak, because the chapter opens up where they're just hand-holding and morning has arrived. So, yeah, it's definitely trying to keep itself with a line to not cross, but I do feel like as the story progresses and we get to see more characters introduced and the other mothers join the party, I feel like that line will eventually pass. But anyways, besides that obvious kind of like, you know, I guess left turn and I guess a downgrade, honestly, because it was just like, oh wow, he didn't actually do it. This chapter mostly gives us a little bit more characterization and development for the mother character here, getting to see who she is as a person, getting to see basically how she meshes with the MC, but also how strong she actually is. Like, this chapter paints the fact that she is incredibly powerful. She is an S-class hero, or an S-class healer at that, and she is just straight up crazy. Like, she is straight up really strong, and she was known far and wide before she reached a certain age for being very, very powerful. So when you look at this chapter, it's like, yes, so the MC got someone that could be beautiful. It's exactly to her, like, she's exactly to his taste, and she's also very, very strong, and she can do chores. He literally says that himself. I'm like, oh my goodness, this series, man, is shameless. Like, it is legitimately a shameless manga, and I love it for that. It's just super, super shameless. But, anyways, yeah, so she's incredibly powerful. Come to find out, like, as, you know, the story progresses and we get a little bit more information on the mother character, she apparently partied with the other mothers at one point or time before they all broke off and separated and got their own husbands, and judging by the information that we got for her, I'm assuming all the mothers were S-class, like, adventurers/heroes, which would mean that when the MC parties up with him, he's gonna have a very super-powered party. Like, they're gonna be juiced. They're gonna be incredibly strong, and it's actually funny to think about, because it's like, the way this world is, obviously the world is disgusting within this manga. Like, if anyone remembers, like, the first chapter, you know, when, females within this world reach a certain age, they no longer like them. For instance, literally, like, people just like, nah, we don't like you anymore, they throw them to the side. That's what happens within this world, and it's incredibly disgusting, especially with just the way it was showcased in the first chapter. And even in the second chapter, like, you know, when we had, the mother character, she was trying to sign up to be an adventurer again, you know, you had the person at the register was just straight up disrespecting her, like, oh, you're an old hag and all that, and it's just like, oh my goodness, like, seriously, that's kind of messed up just to do openly in the public. And it's just like, it's not just from, let's say, the guys in this world, it's also the girls as well that does it too, and it's just like, wow, you think that there would be some form of respect there, but there isn't. But, anyways, she is very powerful, and it's very clear that she has dealt with a lot of stigma. For instance, people just continuously go after her, and a lot of people in this world have, and this is kind of where the MC gets to a more wholesome side, as I talked about in my first impressions, is that he is someone that doesn't want younger characters. He literally wants basically mothers. That's who he wants to be with, because he obviously was reincarnated, he was an older guy, an older gentleman, and he just only wants older women. And I respect that. I legit, honestly respect that. And the fact that he's giving these women a second chance at life, allowing them to have some form of happiness, even if it's kind of messed up and, a little bit twisted to a degree, it is very wholesome to an extent. And I do appreciate that. But anyways, overall, besides that, does it have anything else really going on for it? Well, in terms of revenge plots, because obviously the title of the manga implies that there will be revenge, because the hero took everything from me, so I partied with their mothers, and obviously, as I talked about in my first impressions, with the way the interaction was with the MC, with the hero, and how he's kicked out and all that, it didn't seem like he lost a lot. Like, he doesn't seem like a guy that really carries a lot of weight or vengeance within his heart. That's the way his character is at least perceived so far. Now, anything can happen from this point onward, but the way his character is, it just doesn't seem like he has motivation of vengeance to get rid of someone. And so that gets into the big point I want to talk about, since we're on the topic of vengeance and revenge. The MC doesn't seem like he's going to do that. So, the next best thing is probably going to be the mother characters, because as you can see here on the screen with the panel I pulled up, you see the mother wanting vengeance against her husband, or ex-husband, so to speak, because even though she was an S-class adventurer/hero, she put aside, her titles and all that. She became a housewife, and she let her guard down, and as you could see, what the husband did to her, and then, basically sold her off, and we know what happened in the first chapter. So, you can see her motivation overall. She wants vengeance, and I feel like if the way the series is being perceived so far, it seems like it might not be the main male character that wants vengeance. It's going to be the mother characters that want vengeance. It's going to be the mothers that are probably going to want to get something from the others that have done them wrong, and maybe something happens to the mothers and that forces, the main character to go out of his way and do something as well. Because so far with the plot and way everything has been presented, he just doesn't seem like a guy that just wants to go get vengeance. He's not that type of character. He doesn't seem like an edgelord or anything like that. He just seems very casual, and that's about it. And he goes after the mothers. Like, he's just partying with the mothers. That's literally it. Now, anyways, is the manga good? That is the question we gotta ask ourselves. Now that we're 2 chapters deep, and just getting to get a good sense of where the manga is and the direction, etc., is it something good? Well, to be completely blunt, it's not a good manga. I'm just gonna keep it absolutely blunt. Now, does that mean it's not worth reading? No. However, I do think what separates this from the normal series that we would normally just skip over and throw into the trash bin is the fact that this is obviously themed around the mothers. And despite how shallow that is, or how amazing that is in people's eyes, it does have a very distinct tone to it, thanks to that. And if it did not have that, this series would literally be in the trash bin as well, but thanks to it having that theme, it's more in the scented trash bin, so to speak. So, I do think that the hero's party took everything from me, and so I partied with their mother, is a overall borderline average story. It's an average series, the art is very average, the characters are very average to below average, nothing necessarily really incredible, and in fact, one of the big things that people might be drawn to when it comes to reading this series would probably be the fan service. Let's just keep it real. Let's be honest here. We're all adults. And so when you think about that, it's like Chapter 2 didn't really have much fan service either. So if you're also going for fan service, definitely not a lot of it in Chapter 2. And that's kind of surprising. I mean, that's a good and a bad thing. It's surprising because it means that the writer actually wants to write, a story instead of just having nothing but fan service. And I do respect that. I legitimately do respect that vibe. But at the same time, one of the big things that people are drawn to when it comes to this, the audience, so to speak, would probably be those that are seeking fan service. So, it's a middle ground. That obviously is going to have to be balanced with this manga. But, yeah, overall, I'm enjoying reading it. I don't think it's the best thing since sliced bread, but it is pretty freaking fun. It's not one of those series you gotta, turn on your brain and really dive in depth to it of what's going on. It has its own elements of wholesomeness if you really want to stretch it, and the characters are pretty freaking likable. So, yeah. But, yeah, I just wanted to make this video to kind of let everybody know that Chapter 2 was out for it, because I know that there's a lot of people that might be completely unaware of it, because when it comes to these series that don't necessarily have a official release, it goes under the radar. People forget to go read the next chapter. And so, just as a reminder, Chapter 2 is out. Go read it if you're interested in the story, but I wanted to cover it, and I'm obviously going to continue reading this because I am fascinated to see where the plot's going to go, if it's going to become really bad, really good, who really knows, but we'll see. I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of my content, please subscribe, please leave a like. It does help me out a lot, and as always, I would, greatly appreciate it. But with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.